Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I am so excited to start sharing some recipes and meal planning tips to help you get through the holidays with a little bit more ease in the kitchen. Less time cooking and cleaning, although I do love cooking. I despise cleaning. But hopefully some of the tips that I can share with you will save you some of that time as far as preparation, cooking, and cleaning go, so you can spend more time eating, enjoying, and celebrating. We're gonna get right into it, and the first thing we're gonna talk about is cauliflower rice. It is super popular right now, and there's several different ways to prepare it, and I find it really easy, I find it really tasty, and I can also stretch it so it lasts a little bit longer than just one meal. And that is super important during the holidays when we're rushing around and we have so many things to do in so little time. So, very quickly to start, a couple different ways to buy this and prepare it. You can actually buy riced vegetables right in your freezer. These are really easy. I do like to buy the ones that are unseasoned so that I can, like I said, stretch them out, use them in a couple different variations for dinner, and add my own seasonings. Maybe one night it's Mexican, maybe one night it's Italian, but you don't necessarily want to blend all those flavors. So buy it plain. You can buy a couple packages, make them the same night, and then store them in several different containers. So that's one way. Then you can also buy a whole head of cauliflower, and you can use your food processor to mix that up so that you get the rice that I like to buy fresh and already pre-washed and riced. Couple tips: when you're buying the whole head of cauliflower, you do have to cut it, clean it, let it dry a little bit, and then when you put it in your food processor, you actually want to make sure you don't over process it, because then you end up with a puree or a mush. The way I prefer to buy it is fresh in the grocery store, already washed and already riced. I picked this up at Wegmans. You can find this at Whole Foods. You can even find them in some of the smaller, more local grocery stores as well. But this is very easy. All I do is take my bowl, and I usually use a knife to cut it open. Now the thing is, when you buy this already washed and cut, you are going to have a shorter shelf life on it. Sometimes the day you buy it is the use by date. So you want to pay attention to that and see if you're actually going to be cooking it that night or if you're going to be using it later on that week. It is a little bit more expensive when you're buying it this way, so that's why it's important to pay attention to that so that you don't actually lose the money that you've spent on it. I do think that we've got two investment banks here. You've got your financial one and your calorie one, and sometimes you use one to offset the other. So I do spend a little bit more on this, but I know I'm saving at least an hour of time compared to buying the fresh cauliflower, washing it, cutting it, putting it in the food processor, and then having to clean the food processor. I love my food processor, but that takes time. This is one of my favorite kitchen utensils that I use. It is, I got these at Sur La Table. They are 3 little sort of measuring cups, but they have almost like a pastry blade on them. So you can use them to scrape anything off the counter, whether it's scraps that you want to just scoop up and dump in the trash, or in this case, I've got some broccoli. We buy broccoli every week in this household. We're either cooking it or putting it out fresh with dip so that when we get home and we have dinner to prepare, at least we have something to snack on in the meantime. It's super easy, but we get stuff left over, so I like to just chop up the broccoli, including the little stems, into small pieces, and I add that right into the cauliflower. So now that you see some of my favorite kitchen tools, I'm going to show you this broccoli that I've already chopped up. I'm just scooping it right in. You can even use the knife to help you. I like to scrape as much as I can and get every little bit that I can. I don't like to waste anything. This just goes right into the cauliflower. So now I've just got fresh cauliflower and broccoli in here. And I just drizzle it with olive oil. It's probably not even a quarter of a cup, just a couple tablespoons. And like I said, I keep the seasoning really simple. So a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. So there's really not much there. I just use a spoon to kind of toss it all together. Make sure that everything has a little bit of the oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of the pepper, and that's that. I've got 2 pans here. If you've seen any of my videos before, you know I have 2 sets of sheet pans. I have the ones that I use for cookies and baked goods, and then I have my savory ones, which I probably use every other day. Any day that I'm cooking in the kitchen, I have these. I use the Silpats just for easy cleanup, but ultimately, you're just gonna pour about half. Actually, I can fit all of this onto just 1 pan. Easier cleanup right away. I love it. Sometimes I make such big batches of this that I'm always using 2 pans, and I've just got them in the oven at the same time. And then, like I said, I can stretch it out. So, spread this out. Now, I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. Anywhere between 375 and 400 is good. I like to keep this to a 20-minute cook time. So I will typically put this in the oven for about 10 minutes, and then I'll just rotate the pan halfway through, give it a little stir. Usually on the edges, it'll start to get a little bit crispy and toasty, which is absolutely fine. You might think that they're getting burnt, but it's really not, and it's nice to have a little bit of extra texture in there. You don't necessarily want it to be like a mushy rice. So I've got my sheet pan here. I'm gonna toss it in the oven. Set the timer for 10 minutes. And there you have it. So in 10 minutes, I will rotate the pan, 10 more minutes, and I'll show you what the finished product looks like then. All right, everybody, I am here with the cauliflower and broccoli rice. It's been 20 minutes. At 10 minutes, I spared you the video. I just opened up the oven, gave this a quick little stir, and rotated the pan, and put it in for another 10 minutes, and now here you have it. The thing with this, it kind of reminds me of like kale or spinach when you're cooking it down quite a bit. It seems like you start with so much, and then you're left with kind of a disappointing portion. But ultimately, this is going to last you, even though it may not look like it. So I'm just gonna let this dry for a few more minutes, let the steam evaporate out, and try and hold this up so you can see it. But there you go. So you've got your cauliflower and broccoli rice. We'll let that sit, and we'll use that a couple different times during this week. Enjoy.